What's going on, guys? Professor Nick here. I help students to maximize their college experience. Today I'm going to teach you how to spend less time studying. Let's face it, you're spending way too much time studying. You are. That's why you found this video. You don't have to spend 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours studying. You don't have to pull all-nighters and be miserable and dehydrated and exhausted and overly caffeinated. You don't have to do that, friends. There's a better way. So if you find yourself just spending entirely too much time studying, I can almost guarantee you it's one thing. So the solution to your problem, friend, is this. It is activity. The name of the game is activity, doing stuff. If you're spending a ton of time studying, it probably means that you're doing all of the active learning during the studying itself. You're trying to commit all this stuff to memory and learn and understand it and apply it only while you're studying. Think activity. So how do you apply this? How do you be active? So first thing is to just be proactive, doing things ahead of time rather than at the last minute. That's a form of activity that's going to help you. The next thing is activity during class. So if you were seated in the very back of the lecture hall and you're on your computer, on your phone, doing some dumb stuff and not really paying attention, it's just not worth your time. You might as well just go home, honestly. On the other hand, if you were in the front of the lecture and you were very close to the professor physically and you're engaging with them, making eye contact, getting those subtle nonverbal communications from them, and just overall staying more engaged and participating, that's going to help you a lot. So say it's a 2-hour lecture or a 90-minute lecture. Even though it's a 90-minute lecture and all of the students are spending the same time there in that lecture hall, they're not getting the same experience. They're taking the same class and they have the same teacher, but they are not getting the same experience because they have different levels of activity and engagement. So sit up close, engage, participate, be a part of the discussion. That is going to allow you to spend less time studying outside. Another thing you can do that's going to really help not only just spend less time studying, but make the class and the material a lot more interesting, is to try and link it to something in the real world. Relate it back to reality. So we have kind of this little academic bubble where we contain things in a very specific way, and sometimes it gets lost and disconnected from the real world. So try and bring it back there. Example for you. Suppose you're taking an economics class and you learned about supply and demand. And after class, you head over to the Starbucks. Instead of just shutting off your brain from after the lecture, stay engaged and stay active. And you notice at the Starbucks, there's a line out the door and around the block. So many people lining up to get Starbucks this day. You notice there is an insanely high demand. So ask some questions. What does that mean about their marketing, their positioning? What does it mean about the supply for Starbucks coffee? Relate it back to the real world, okay? Another example for you here. Suppose you're taking some kind of filmography, cinematography class, and you learn about angles and lighting and color correction. Next time you go on Netflix or you watch a movie or whatever, instead of just idly sitting there, be active and engaged in your mind and ask yourself the questions from the stuff you learned in class. Why did they use those lights? Why does it look like this? Why did they pick those angles? Why did they cut at this exact time? How are they filtering out the colors to produce this effect? So always relate it back to the real world. So finally, another thing you can do to spend less time studying is to block out segments. Doing little, say, 25-minute intervals. This is known as the Pomodoro technique, where you do a 25-minute interval and then you rest for 5 minutes. Doing those little blocks, you'd be surprised how much you could get done in 25 minutes studying. Again, if you're spending 4 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours studying in those large blocks, you're probably doing something wrong. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to give it a like. Drop me a comment and let me know what was the single most useful tip you got out of this video. If you want to stay tuned for more fantastic videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and smash that bell so you stay notified. This is Professor Nick signing off, and I will see you next time.